Welcome back to the Delaware Way. I'm Larry Menti. Is the once omnipresent DuPont empire crumbling in Delaware? Jeff Mordock, a reporter at the News Journal, just wrote a story about that, and DelawareOnline.com. And by the way, congratulations on the new gig. You used to work at the Law Journal, so.
That's correct. I started at the News Journal earlier this year. It was an exciting time because I started at the News Journal, and then 2 weeks later, my wife and I, our first child was born. So
oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
congratulations to you and your wife. And the name of the child?
Jackson Scott.
Great. I love that name. Let's talk about the DuPont empire. It was Delaware. When people thought of Delaware, they thought of DuPont. It's nowhere near what it used to be now. What's the state of the DuPont company now?
Well, DuPont has been shrinking over the years, and it's getting smaller. They just brought in a new CEO, Ed Breen. And Breen comes from Tyco, and he took over Tyco after Dennis Klosowski had his issues at Tyco. And the first thing Breen did when he came in is cut. And that's his reputation. And it's interesting because at Tyco, before Breen took over, they had a reputation for being very lean. They used to pride themselves on their efficiency. Breen found things to cut at Tyco. And now he's in charge of DuPont. And in his first week, there were layoffs in the sustainable solutions business, which is a unit DuPont has where they outsource safety and research for hazardous materials out to other companies. There were layoffs in that unit. There was an IT project that was going to bring all of the DuPont companies, all the DuPont plants on the same IT system. He shut that, well, he didn't shut that down. He put that on hold, but when doing so, he severed the contract with 300 contractual workers that they had brought in from IT companies to work on the project. He's consolidated 4 units into 2 units. So, you know, and we expect a steady stream of news regarding cuts coming out of DuPont over the next year.
Is this all to make it a stronger company or to dismantle the company?
Well, it depends who you ask that question to. Ed Breen and DuPont are making the argument that it would make it a stronger company. Now, Nelson Peltz had come in. He's an activist investor, a billionaire out of New York, who launched a proxy war earlier this year to take over 4 seats on DuPont's board. He was ringing the bell of splitting up the company and breaking up the company. Now, Breen and company say that DuPont's not going to be split up, but if you watch their actions, they're taking a lot of the actions Nelson Peltz had recommended that DuPont take before the eventual split up. So even though we may not see, you know, we could see DuPont break up into 2 companies, or we could just see them gradually sell off a couple of units. I know at the last earnings call, Ed Breen had talked about selling the agricultural unit, which is a big, I mean, that's a multi-billion-dollar unit out of DuPont. There was a lot of consolidation in that industry, but still for DuPont to sell the agricultural unit, that's pretty big for that company.
What happened to DuPont? They were such an enormous company, such innovators, and they were an integral part of so many other industries because they seemed to own the chemical industry there for a while. What happened?
It's a lot of factors. It's, you know, there's consolidation in the agricultural unit. A lot of their business is overseas, so with the stronger U.S. dollar and their sales overseas, they're taking cents on the dollar. That's really killed their earnings the last 2 quarters, is the, you know, the currency overseas. You know, there's been weaker demand for some of their products, and honestly, we just have not seen the innovation out of DuPont that we've seen in the last couple of years.
That would be a key. Let's talk about the effect of this on the state of Delaware. First, let's start with possible layoffs. How many are we talking about?
It remains to be seen. I mean, we're expecting a few. I mean, we're expecting a good amount. The first layoff, the first round, which occurred during Ed Breen's first week, was 80 to 100.
And how long will that continue, do you think?
Who knows? I mean, it'll continue until, I guess, the stock rebounds almost. I mean, it depends. I mean, they have a plan. They haven't really revealed the plan, but, you know, the state is bracing themselves for layoffs based on what we're hearing out of DuPont.
All right, now, what effect does this have on the state? Or has it already had an effect? Because I imagine as DuPont has been not pulling in the money and the tax base that it once was, it's already had an effect.
Oh, it's already had an effect. And I think in some ways Delaware's lucky, because if you look at other states or other cities that were reliant on company towns, like, say, Rochester with Kodak, or Binghamton with IBM, or Trenton with Roebling, all those cuts occurred years and years ago. It seems like Delaware was a little bit behind the curve, and we're now experiencing what the other cities and other states are experiencing. Where I see this, where this could go, depending on the cuts, is a lot of the research and development that DuPont does is based right here in Delaware. They have 2 research stations employing a total of about 3,100 people. Those are high-paying jobs. Those are high-paying jobs who are buying the expensive houses. They're going to the nice restaurants. They're contributing to charities. They're doing all the stuff to help keep help keep Delaware, the Delaware economy moving. If we lose those jobs, if those cuts come to research and development, that could be devastating for the state of Delaware, because those people will, there's no other company in the state that's doing research on the level of DuPont. So we could see them going to Maryland or going to New Jersey or going to Pennsylvania, maybe work for one of the pharmaceutical companies up in New Jersey.
Wow. Well, we'll keep reading your reporting on this in the Wilmington News Journal and Delaware Online and Delaware Online, right?
Delaware Online.
Online.com. Yep. And congratulations on the new job and on the new baby.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Mordock, reporter at the News Journal. Do you want a new career? How about a new life? We have the school for you. We'll talk about that coming up.